Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Education Subcommittee of the Ways and Means Committee. We're meeting here on April the 1st, and I'd like to move all the bills by consent calendar at this time. Okay, it's April 1st, so couldn't help it. No one smiled at that, except for Delegate Wilkins, who has her picture of her smile, and everybody else did not find that funny.
Favorable as a consent calendar.
All right, so we're going to start off. We're going to address bills, but there's two that we're going to bypass today. And the first one that we're going to bypass is Senate Bill 130, which combines itself with House. No, that does not. I got the wrong Senate bill here. House Bill 1025, which is the bill for screening educators. I don't have the accompanying Senate number with it.
Senate Bill 845.
Thank you. Those we are in some discussions with State Department of Education, PZAM, and even MSDE about a couple of additions to this bill. We want to do it right. The purpose of the bill from the sponsors was to create a situation where people don't get into the system who have not been properly vetted or who might have had a problem with their licensure. And so we have a few details to work out. We'll probably call a meeting tomorrow to go ahead and get that one done if we can get it done this afternoon. So with that, I dismiss that bill. The next bill we're going to work on is Senate Bill 130, Education Student Personnel Electronic Device Policy. This is a similar bill, but not at all the same exactly to the bill that we passed, which was Delegate Wu's bill, 147, I think is the correct number.
Yes.
Thank you. And so we feel like we have a good version here. And I've discussed it with the sponsor, and we feel like the version we sent allows for lots of local control. And so we think we're going to stick. Alistair, I'll let you describe how we're going to amend this bill when we send it back.
So thank you, sir. The amendments make the bill identical to House Bill 147 as amended by the subcommittee and the full committee in the House. The amendments would strike the bill and replace it with that bill. However, they're quite similar. This bill and that bill. The main difference is that this bill is focused on the State Department of Education creating a model policy, and House Bill 140 on the use of personal electronic devices by students in schools, and House Bill 147 was focused on each county board developing a policy. There's some slight differences in how the policies work exactly. The technology use policy in House Bill 147 required that smartphones be limited during instructional time, whereas this bill requires that personal electronic devices be limited during school hours. However, other than that, they're quite similar.
I see a question from Delegate Miller.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, just a quick question. Alistair, is there a part, because I noticed in this bill, it did say, and I know we're handing it back to the House Bill 147, but is there an amendment about notification or discussing with families about the bill at all? In this one, it does have school staff and listed out, but there was nothing about families other than the student handbook. And that was on, I think, number 3 of this bill. Do we have in 147, do we have anything like that of how we are like letting the community know or anything like that?
So in 147, I think it's limited to just publishing it on the website and in the student handbook. I think there was an assumption that would allow the community and parents and students to see it, but there was nothing directly saying.
So nothing was parsed out as far as school staff or personnel or anything like that in the House bill.
I don't believe so. I think it was just those publication requirements. Let me double check.
No. Okay. Yeah. If we were going to add that, I was going to add families, but if we're just doing it the same for everyone, that's fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
to me, this is another policy. They have lots of policies. And so to me, whatever system they use for notifying, I mean, Howard County, I watched them go through it because I used to teach there and I have friends that they changed their policy and how they publicized it. So I think we're going to leave it to them, sounds like. But yes, if we did that, we would need to add that. It makes sense. But I think we're clean there. Is that good, Delegate Miller? Just checking. Delegate Fair.
Yeah, I think, and I appreciate the long conversation we had about this during the House bill discussion. And so I feel comfortable, Mr. Chair, if you're comfortable moving the amendments to conform Senate Bill 130 with our House bill cross file.
Okay. I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendments to conform House Senate Bill 130 to House Bill 147, raise your hands or say aye. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands up at this time, and that's enough. And so now on the bill as amended.
I move as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of Senate Bill 130 as amended, raise your hands or say aye.
Aye.
And that's all of us. Okay, thank you. That ends our work on.
Mr.
Senate
Chair,
Bill.
have a quick comment. So this
Yes, sir.
the House version has
Well,
not
explain your vote, if you will, sir.
No, the House version has not will be presented to the Senate tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for the commentary. All right, I'm now on Senate Bill 310. I'm just doing them in order. Senate Bill 310 makes a fairly reasonable addition to the Youth Suicide Prevention School program. It generally adds, am I on the right bill, Alistair? This is the one that adds gambling addiction into other things that can cause students to get themselves in situations where they might consider suicide. So in various places, it says gambling addiction in the bill. We don't see any reason to amend it. So I think we didn't, Alistair, we came up with no amendments we thought were necessary. Is that correct? Okay, so any discussion on the bill? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Move favorable.
You have a
Second.
favorable and a second. All in favor of Senate Bill 310, clean, raise your hands, please. And I see everybody's hand. Vogel, you in? Okay, good, just checking. Okay, we'll send that on to committee for a vote. Our next bill is Senate Bill 451, which is a high school diploma by examination requirements and study. You may recall this bill was a bill that Delegate Wims brought before us. I don't have the number before me. I do have the number before me, 325, that required that credit by examination be offered in Spanish and English, and different parts could be taken in different parts of the language. You may remember there was some commentary on the floor on that. I don't think we're amending it, or do we need to conform it, Alistair?
Yes, so we're changing the language just ever so slightly to conform with the bill as passed by the House. Rather than saying allowing an individual to take all components in the same language from English or Spanish, it'll just say allow them to choose to take the exam in English or Spanish. The House bill passed with an October effective date, and the Senate's effective date is July 1. And so this amendment would keep it at July 1. I've been told that the Senate is going to make the same change so that the bills will be identical.
We're going to move up the effective date and a couple of other technical corrections to it, but other than that, pretty much the same. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. So first, why don't we, since those amendments are technical and involve an effective date, I will, Delegate Fair, do you have a question, or are you moving the amendments?
Yeah, I will do both, but just quick question, is MSDE good with the effective date being July 1st? Did we hear back from them at all versus
There was no-
October 1st?
I didn't get any input from them. Did you, Alistair?
It's actually the Department of Labor who implements.
Department of Labor, sorry.
Yes. I don't think, let me check if
Okay.
there was any. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's
We'll hold for a second.
Sorry for the pause. They did not submit any testimony that I can see. The fiscal note says that they are actively working to update it and that it can be done. The Senate bill revised fiscal note came in with this new effective date, and there was no commentary there that it would pose any sort of
And it
problem.
went through with their effective
So-
date, so there was no response to that. So, okay, thank you.
so they had opportunity, and that's all that matters. So I would move the amendments, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a second on the amendment? Thank you. Got a second. All in favor, any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment to change the effective date and make a few technical corrections, raise your hands, please. They're all in, and on the bill as amended.
I
Move
move as amended.
favorable.
I got a favorable and a second, or two favorables, which one counts as the second. Any further discussion on the bill? All in favor of the bill as amended, raise your hands, please. And Delegate Miller, did I see your hand? Okay. No, you're not in favor of the bill. Okay, so we have one vote against. Okay. We can count them up if you want to. Thank you. All right, that concludes that. We're now on Senate Bill 601, which is Dependent Children of Service Members Advanced Enrollment. We've seen this bill. This is the inimitable Delegate Edith Patterson's bill in the House. It was brought to us by Senator Brooks. They're close to being matching. This has to do with students who are coming to our state, being transferred mostly militarily, being allowed to, is that a word, militarily? Being allowed to register in advance. The school system has to allow them to do it online with a couple of considerations about them being able to apply for various programs that they would be eligible for. And also there's some language concerning them having a IEP or a 504 that they be able to communicate with the school and allow them to communicate with the prior school or the parents about what those what kind of accommodations were made. Alistair, did I miss anything?
Yes, I think that covers everything. There's some slight differences in how the bill is amended is different than the House bill, which I could get into if you.
Right. The House bill, and we think we're going to conform to this, said that if a student is in a school and their family moves, but through some arrangement, they can stay in the area and go to the school, that we would let them finish the school year in the district, even if they weren't technically living in the district because their parents weren't, that would let them complete the school year that in that way to avoid, we're trying to, obviously reduce disruption here. Any questions on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Move favorable.
Thank you.
Second.
In a second, all in favor of the amendments that we described? And I see everybody but Delegate Wu, are you in? Just checking. I'd like to really see your hand. I don't like to make assumptions. Somebody keeps putting my hand up. I don't know who's doing that or how that happens. And then on the bill as amended, is there any discussion?
Move favorable.
Okay. I have
Second.
and I have a second. All in favor of the bill as amended, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. That's unanimous. All right, now we're on to Senate Bill 845.
I think that's it for today, sir. I think
Right, I just want to comment on this one. It is on the agenda, so people have a right to know what we're doing. Senate Bill 845, along with House Bill, I don't know the number, but I should, which is Delegate Moon's bill, have to do with teacher screening and the NASDAQ program, a clearinghouse. We actually take a NASDAQ out of it because it's a company specific or group specific. But we're having some discussions with the State Department of Education about how these people could be identified as they apply to be sure that they get into the system and get noticed. And so we are actually going to have a meeting with the sponsors later today to discuss that with them and some of the interested. PZAM's going to hang out with us a little bit. And so is come on, you can do it. State Department of Education is going to meet in with us, and we're going to see if we can't get some good amendments for it. After we have their suggestions for amendments, everybody wants to know, I'll be happy to weigh in. Delegate Farr? Nope, nothing. Okay, so that's just an update on that, and I think so. Those we have one more bill that we want to look at. We want to talk about. Again, this is another one where it's gotten a little muddled what we do. This is the high school officiating services procurement, trying to offer equal procurement for people who officiate sports that are men's and women's or boys and girls, if you will, that they do a similar job, making sure they're getting paid the same. We're working hard to make sure that we get that well defined. We're working with the Maryland Association of Secondary, not secondary school principals, Maryland Associate, Maryland MSP, MPSSAA, Maryland Public Secondary School Athletic Association, MPSSAA. Took me a couple of tries, but we are working with them to make sure that this is done in a way that will actually be effective. So stand by for those two bills for us to talk about in the future. I believe that brings us to the end of our agenda. All right. Thank you all very much. I will see you soon. Thanks for getting here so quickly after that somewhat extended speech.